Welcome to Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm your host, Marla Goldberg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello. How are you all doing today? Well, it's Thursday, so if it's Thursday, it's Guided Spirit Conversations Day, and I'm your host, Marla Goldberg. Today we have a really exciting show. Riya Loveguard is with us, and Riya is a Starseed Light Language Activator. Riya's mission is to awaken and equip Starseeds, healers, and Lightworkers to fulfill their divine destiny. Riya has been nicknamed the Galactic linguist because of her ability to communicate in a variety of extraterrestrial light languages, explain the origins of other people's light languages, and activate in her students the capability to channel powerful galactic energies. Riya is also a quantum business strategist, bridging the gap between entrepreneurship and spirituality by imparting practical knowledge about business energetics and assisting lightworkers in translating their divine abilities into profitable brands. Welcome, Riya. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. I'm so excited that we were able to find you because I had been wanting, you're my first light language linguist, galactic linguist, as you're called, onto the show. And I have been searching high and low because light language is a known but yet unknown modality of communication that
Absolutely.
and the fact that not only do you speak many languages, that you're a receptor to many galaxies and many languages, but that you can activate your students and help them to divinely build or step into their light language abilities.
That's correct. My mission here on Earth is not just to channel light language, because there's many light language channels, and the more we awaken as collective, the more people activate their own ability to channel energy in the form of sound or writing. I do it in the form of sound, but of course, some people do it in the form of writing or art. However, I feel that as our understanding as a collective and our awakening as a global planet progresses, we're called to also have more intention and have more consciousness around different modalities. And light language is a perfect example of a modality that have been shunned for a little bit. On one hand side, we often hear light language spoken in different guided meditations or immersions, and it seems like something magical, but that is not meant to be understood. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can actually understand light language, and it's not as mystical as it may be. I'm actually here to bring this beautiful modality down to earth.
And your first experience was with which galactic beings?
With the
Beings?
Yeah, it was with the Arcturians. However, before I met them, actually, long before I met them, over a decade before I met the Arcturians, I was able to channel Arcturian language. It's just I didn't know it was Arcturian.
Oh, that's so fascinating. So how did it come to you? Did a being show up or did something happen that was a catalyst for your being able to speak and understand the language?
hmm So, how it happened was I had this mystical language since I was in my early 20s. And that activated actually in a church environment. I was in this kind of like charismatic church group, and that's when it activated. However, I thought it was just a gift from God and kind of, not meant to be understood, not meant to ever be used for anything apart from my own practice. Well, over 10 years later, I was in a very stressful position. I built a business which was failing and failed completely when at the beginning of COVID. But even before that, I was extremely stressed. And as a stressed entrepreneur, I was pursuing mindfulness, meditation, manifestation, just to get myself out of misalignment and get myself out of a life that I've created myself, but I wasn't very happy with. And my galactic family, the Arcturians, used the fact that I finally became open-minded and capable enough to quieten my mind, that they started to communicate. And first communication happened in my previous business, which was very 3D. I was teaching women how to invest in real estate in Poland. And I was running a webinar. I lived in Australia, so there was a time difference. The webinar was taking place in the evening Polish time, but in Australia it was the middle of the night, which is when your pineal gland is most active. So I remember finishing this class and I couldn't fall back to sleep. I just lied on the sofa, half awake, and then bang, I was just taken into this, what I believe now is the fourth dimension, where time didn't exist. The present, future, and past all around parallel. And I met this female Arcturian being, which again, she didn't say I'm Arcturian. She then said she based tasks to follow. She said she's from a cold planet. That's what she said. Blue skin, bluish skin, beautiful, like Scandinavian, blonde hair, blue eyes, quite a dainty, delicate person. We met in this house almost in the fourth dimension, and she said, follow the blue light, follow the grid, and she gave me a special crystal in the quantum field, which then I found to be Celestine, and she presented herself as Celeste. But I didn't really know what it was. I just thought, okay, it's just a guide or a spirit guide. And then I pieced it all together. I came across, she said also to learn about sacred geometry, which was really interesting, because this is how I discovered Arcturians were Arcturians. Because I started learning about sacred geometry. She presented me with a specific book that I found on Amazon, but it was really thick reading. It was very difficult, very dense to understand. So, not being able to read and absorb this quite technical mathematical knowledge and equations, I went the easy route. I put sacred geometry onto Gaia, and Matthias de Stephanus series, the initiation popped on, and he was explaining about all the extraterrestrial races. I was like, that's them, that's Arcturians. And then I followed the grid, which I, again, didn't know what the grid was. So following the grid, I went to the only place I knew in Australia, which was like a part of the energetic grid of the Earth. And that was Uluru, that was the Ayers Rock. And I had a huge, very powerful experience. My husband, Aaron, had even more powerful experience, because he reunited with the Arcturian Council of Elders, his soul family, and he started channeling ever since. So this is how it started. It was very slow to begin, but then it accelerated, and straight away we knew we can't go back to life as normal, and we started doing and expressing ourselves with our supernatural gifts.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's a great story. And how did you learn to, I mean, when you heard the light language, because could you give the audience just a sample of one galactic light language so they understand what we're talking about before I ask my question?
Yeah. So I'll give you a bit of Arcturian. It sounds like Arabic, and many are available. So if a chance comes later on, I'm happy to channel others. But Arcturian sounds just like that. Terachtia hela hela barahatu ryushucha siya hemea hatu kia mahasuru hetia shura mahiasa maharetia hu erahla hatia huma iahashukuri yachsa erachta yachsa. Maybe I'll translate so it doesn't sound. So basically, this was the activation of your upper chakras. It was almost like a greeting from Arcturians, which is like, when you hear this, let your heart open, let your throat open, and let your third eye open. Open yourself up to what we're going to say. With the light language, it doesn't always come just with information. There's always energy in it.
Interesting. So now, how did you learn to understand this language? Because, when people learn a second language, it's usually a slow, arduous practice. But I don't think so with you. I don't feel that's the way it happened with you.
Light languages are not like human languages. I wish I could download human languages, just I do light language because you literally know them. I'm in this arduous journey now. I've moved from Australia to Costa Rica and I'm learning Spanish, so I know exactly. It's not like that with human languages, although I must say I'm quite gifted in human languages too. It comes quickly to me. English is not my first language. I'm Polish originally. But with light languages, it's completely different. You get a download of it and you straight away fluent. The reason for it is that this is a language that you saw spoken in one of your previous soul experiences or previous incarnations. And this is why you can't get it wrong. You always get it right. And of course, if you hear two people, let's say, speaking Arcturian, it will sound similar. And I speak from experience because I've activated many of my students in different languages. It doesn't sound quite identical because it's just kind of comes through our human filter. And we just basically, it's not just like language, it's also energy channeled in the form of sound. And it's not always going to be identical. However, the similarities are so striking that it's the same language, the energy is the same. And how you learn to understand, this is something that I found comes with practice. I don't think it's just the practice, it's also when this language has a useful purpose, then it's much easier to understand. So I know that a lot of people who perhaps have a light language active and maybe channel themselves for years and years are asking themselves the question, what's the purpose of it? It just makes me maybe feel a bit better, maybe raise the vibration. Some people use it for healing, but don't think they can understand it or feel like maybe it's not even meant to be understood. What I've noticed is that when I'm using it to help people, to activate people, when I'm using it publicly for a purpose, this is when meaning opens up. I always get a meaning when I'm doing it for a purpose. And this is basically how it works. When you step up, the meaning is given to you. And sometimes the meaning is given to me after I've channeled. Sometimes even before I open my mouth and start speaking a extraterrestrial, another language, I already know what I'll say.
That's so fascinating. How many languages do you speak?
I've stopped counting at about 15, but in fact, I can channel any energy in the form of sound. It's not just extraterrestrial energies, it's also energies from Lemuria, from Atlantis, but also I can channel the language of the land. I had a recent experience when I was traveling to Mexico, to Yucatan Peninsula, which was where the late Mayan Empire was based. And as soon, and I didn't expect it, I was just sat on an aircraft with like hundreds of other people. And as soon as I came into sight with the land, so I saw the Yucatan Peninsula, which is very flat, Mayan language came through me. And I felt extremely hot all of a sudden. I feel this download of a language and I start making those sounds. And then I see writing that are still like with the X letter starting, and this is pronounced like something like sh or j, and this kind of sound was coming out of me, and I knew this was that language, and it only intensified when I visited all the ancient sites. So I stopped counting languages that I can channel. I can pretty much have this ability to tune into any energy and express it in the form of sound. But some are stronger than others. So the ones that come from my previous incarnations are the ones I feel most comfortable at using and most I use them most often, but I can kind of pretty much channel even the land. I've done it in Australia. I've had another instance where I sat on the rocks in northwestern Australia, and I just started meditating. I sat on these ancient rocks. There was dinosaurs' footprints close by.
Wow.
That's a very, very powerful place near Broome in Australia. And I just kind of like opened up and I felt this energy coming, which wasn't energy of Gaia, it was the energy of the spirit of the land. And I started channeling the language of the land. And later on, I've been mentored by an Aboriginal elder, and she said that basically I must have tapped into the song line. And this is just how it comes for me. It comes in the form of sound.
That's phenomenal. Now you help your clients to
Mhm.
activate. How do you do that? How can you activate that in somebody else?
Very simple. All I do is I bring energies. My own light language was activated in the presence of strong spiritual energy and intention. And this is a recipe for activating light language: strong spiritual energy and intention. So, this is exactly how it works when I activate people. I bring energies of various beings. I intend to activate them, and they intend to activate it. And this is how it happens. Then the only thing else that needs to always happen, which is something that people forget about, is you need to open your mouth, because people think that something will take over, that something will be moving their lips. It doesn't happen like that. It's more like surrender. It's a little bit like, for those of you who may be listening and have had a Kundalini awakening, a Kundalini experience. It's similar, whereas your body almost like starts moving on its own, but it's not like you haven't got control over it. You still do. It's like turning a tap on and off. And it's exactly the same with light language. So you start when that strong spiritual energy, such as the energy of Arcturians or Pleiadians or Lemurians or whatever other race, starts coming through. When you express it, it just kind of starts to flow, because that energy awakens some dormant DNA or some dormant memories of your soul that you've always had within you, but perhaps you've never tapped into. So, light language is not a case of learning, it's always a case of just activating. You already have it in you. It's just a matter of coaxing it out. When I'm activating people, it's more like I'm a midwife trying to coax the baby out, rather than me, you know, giving it to someone. No, you already have it.
I love that analogy that you're like a midwife. So how do you know which light language the person you're working with which one's going to come through or which one you're going to activate?
Okay, well, I don't decide that. So, my experience shows that usually the first language that activates is the language from your last galactic incarnation before you came to Earth. Or if you're Lemurian or Atlantean descendant, then it may be Lemurian or Atlantean. But if you're a starseed, it will be from your last experience before you came to this planet, because starseeds come here for a mission. They come here to lift the consciousness of the planet, and they have elected to come here. And the first language that usually activates in starseeds is the one from the last galactic lifetime. So you can't activate a language normally. Normally, under normal circumstances, you can't activate a language that you haven't experienced as a soul. So let's say someone comes to me, oh, I want to activate Arcturian. I'm not going to guarantee you that your Arcturian will activate. You may be a Lyran starseed and you activate Lyran. My ability to channel multiple ones comes from a slightly different source. It's not just my soul memory, but it's also the fact that my first soul experience was in the Akashic records. I was one of the Akashic keepers, and as such, I was like this galactic librarian. I had to speak multiple languages, so I remember them all. And this is why this easiness comes from. It's not a normal thing. Normally, people activate the language of their last galactic lifetime. However, I've had many students that activated more than one. How do I know which one is which? Because when I activated them, it happened in a very conscious manner. Most people don't know what they channel, because the language activates sometimes very spontaneously, or they don't know what energy they're coming into contact with. Well, I work in a team with my husband, Aaron Lazar, who's a psychic, and he gets, when I get the sound, he gets all the visuals. So basically, what happened was, when we first connected to the Arcturians, we were seeing he was seeing the Council of Elders. But then, after working with the Arcturians for several months, the Arcturians said to us, in order for you guys to get a more rounded experience, we want you to meet other races. So you go on around different dimensions go and connect to the Syrians, to the Pleiadians, to the Lyrans. So we did. And the experience was always the same. Aaron would go with his power of intention, and we would both elevate our consciousness into the quantum field, and he would get the visuals of the Syrians, of the Pleiadians, of the Lyrans, Lemurians, so on. And I would straight away get the language. So I knew which language was activated when. So when I connected to the Syrian language got activated. When I connected to the Pleiadian language got activated. And then I started recognizing the same patterns in other people. And now, obviously, I'm so familiar with all these galactic energies that when I hear someone's light language, I know straight away if it's one of the ones I know. Of course, there is hundreds of different races available, so that means that I don't know every single light language. It's not like, I know 150 light languages. I know maybe 25 that I work with. And there's also one more thing. There's a separate light language, which is the language of your soul and of your higher self. And everybody's got ability to activate that. And this one activates slightly differently because it doesn't have to be triggered by any external entity. It's usually a result of long-standing work, inner work, shadow work. And when you integrate all your shadows or your past incarnations, when you've done all of that, sometimes the language will unlock. And this language unlocked in me after many years. I've already had about 12 different light languages of different races before the language of my higher self activated. And the language of my higher self is my soul's pure expression. And that happened when I've done a lot of work with releasing past life trauma, ancestral trauma, karma, etc., etc. My higher self emerged, and then bang, the language was there the following day without any activation. So I feel like a lot of people who perhaps speak light language may also be channeling the language of their soul, because it's almost like a little reward for doing all the inner work.
Interesting. So you said something early on about being a starseed. How does one know if they're a starseed? Or is everyone a starseed?
Great question. I think there's great many starseeds on Earth these days. We have come here to raise the consciousness of the planet, and it's not a coincidence. There's different astrological events that lead us into this great awakening. I've heard it referred to as the popcorn effect, where people are popping all around the place, waking up to their multidimensionality. A lot of them are starseeds. Not all of them are starseeds. Some of them are maybe descendants from different ancient civilizations, such as Lemurian Atlantis, or Mayan Empire, or other consciously awakened civilizations that we had on this planet Earth before. However, there are many starseeds. So how does one tell if they're starseed? Well, if your galactic language activates, then surely you are a starseed because it comes from somewhere. But the most surefire way to tell whether you are starseed is to go to the Akashic records and find out your soul history. However, I feel like most people, even without doing all these things like going to the records or activating language, they don't know deep in their heart. There is something in us that yearns for a change. And a lot of starseeds have this kind of weird connection where they, like, even as kids, they remember looking at the stars and feeling that there's something more. Sometimes we've had our galactic guides around us, but maybe disguised as our imaginary friends as children. So there's many ways of telling whether you are a starseed, but to me, what determines a starseed is a mission, a starseed mission, your unique purpose that you're here to do, to fulfill. And it's not so much some kind of badge of honor, oh, I'm a starseed, so I'm an old soul or whatever. No, it's actually what you came here to do. And starseeds, in my and my husband's also experience reading hundreds of starseeds Akashic records, there's always a very specific reason why a starseed comes to Earth. They come to contribute with the unique gifts. They come to contribute with the specialism that they have been really great at whilst living another life in another dimension. So I encourage whoever's listening who may feel, oh, am I a starseed? Am I not a starseed? Well, I would encourage you to explore the connection, call on your galactic family and see what happens, because you will know in your heart. If you're listening to it, you'll know in your heart.
So, do you also read the records so that you can help your clients or customers,
I don't read.
during classes? No, you don't read.
No, I don't read the Akashic records. This is not my specialism. I leave it to my husband, who's the Akashic expert. He spends every day in the Akashic records. Actually, as we're recording this conversation, he's having another client session in the record. And tomorrow we're doing a lot of starseed readings for our spiritual development class, which is called the Quantum Club, where we guide and teach starseeds to discover the mission, to connect to the soul family. So I don't personally read the Akashic records. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to activate starseeds. I'll leave Akashic records to Aaron, who's really good at that.
So you two work as a team together when you're teaching in the Quantum Club
Yes.
or anything else. And you've got a class coming up. Did I read that correctly? Coming up soon?
I think I've got classes every Thursday. So we've got a monthly membership group. It's like I call it a portal. It's called the Quantum Club, and every week we do have classes when we connect to different light beings. Some classes are with the Arcturians, some are with the Pleiadians. We also teach people how to develop the quantum skills, such as the light language, such as the Akashic records, such as channeling. So this is what we do every Thursday. It's a monthly membership. I'm sure we will link up to that. If you're interested in the galactic stuff, this is your place to develop your skills in a safe environment. Because what I find is that sometimes a lot of starseed wake up and they become quite overwhelmed. It's like, I'm awakened, now what? Or even worse, sometimes when you're a young, immature consciousness and you open up to the quantum field, not every energy is of the light, and people get overwhelmed and sometimes they feel spooked as well. So, what we do in the Quantum Club, we have a beautiful group of people at various stages of advancement where we connect to those races together. And it's in a guided practice, so you can ask your questions, but we also sometimes do like channeled Q&A, so people can just experience those different frequencies without even having to do it all themselves. So this is what we do.
So is there, okay, so I understand that, but do you also have a way to where they could say, oh, how do I join this? How do I say this? How do I join this club? Like, do I need to be activated first? Is there something you need to do before saying, I'm going to join the Quantum Club?
No, just come over. It's for everybody who's got an open mind. It's a paid membership. We've got an offer until the end of April, but I'm not sure when you're listening to it. So when you'll be able to see
April
more on our
28th.
website. April 28th. Well, if it's April 28th, then April 29th is the Starseed workshop that we're holding in the Quantum Club. So last minute to join. If you're hearing this, we're going to have a full day event tomorrow, where we're going to be actually activating starseeds and doing all the basic starseed stuff. But no, you don't have to be activated. You will get activated. There's over 60 hours of recorded sessions with energy retained in them, so you can binge on it like you do with Netflix or whatever.
And do you also do private sessions with people to activate them?
I do private sessions. However, my private sessions are more business oriented. My kind of passion is entrepreneurship. So yes, people can come and activate the soul mission, and if they want me to activate them with a light language or whatever, they can. However, what I often do on my private sessions is just simply I feel into energetics of people's businesses. I help people unblock their income, release ancestral blocks, and also align the business and the expression with their soul mission. So my private sessions are more aimed at light workers, entrepreneurs, and people who want to express themselves through business. If you want an activation and pursuing your galactic gifts, I invite you to the Quantum Club rather than to my private sessions.
Thank you for that, because you know what? What's really refreshing is that you're not saying, "Oh no, everybody needs me privately," and then go to the Quantum Club. You're saying, "No, no, no. I only take you if you need me. I mean, if what you're doing resonates with what I'm doing. Otherwise, go to the Quantum Club where you have like-minded people in a process." Am I getting
Yeah.
that correctly?
Yes, and you will get my private support, of course. I am there every single week live. It's not like, very often when people do a membership in the old three-dimensional business paradigm, a membership is something where people just chuck some old content and then, just to refresh it. But no, this is not like that. We're there every single week live. We've got a private support group. I'm very active, and it's a beautiful community. So I invite you to explore it. I invite you, if you feel the resonance, then if that's for you, there's no bonds or ties. We try to keep everything energetically clean, so you can join for a month or stay for a year. It's all up to you. There's no contract. Just come as you are. And this is the essence of fifth dimensional business: is freedom. It's I use the word business. I know some people would use the word maybe practice or mission, etc. I still love business. I'm a business person, I'm an entrepreneur, but the fifth dimensional business template is so different than the third dimensional. There's freedom, there's flow, there's no pushiness. If you want to come on board. If it doesn't resonate, feel free to skip it. I just feel like, everybody will find the soul tribe when they need to find the soul tribe, and people who will resonate with them on the level. And if my offerings resonate with you, come over. If doesn't, just skip. There's other options available there.
As I like to say, God bless, go with God, right? And
Yeah.
if you need to pass, it's just not resonating. But don't you feel in some capacity that even though somebody may not be entrepreneur, maybe they're thinking about something, or they're there's the doubter, right? That doubter archetype, that the judge, the doubter that sits and says, no, 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 you can't do this or whatever. So they hold back on wanting to pull the plug on doing something, even if it's a lucrative hobby, something like a lucrative hobby, because not everybody can afford to become an entrepreneur full time. But people do have hobbies that can bring them income. So it's more like a hobbypreneur, something like that. I just made that up. Would they be able to, would they fit your business strategist one-on-ones?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I've got a lot of clients like that I'm helping them step into actually expressing themselves as they meant to. But I am a deep believer in the fact that you don't have to be a hobbypreneur. That if you have a passion in your heart and a gift for something, and it can be something spiritual, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who perhaps are gifted as tarot readers or psychics or healers that are listening to us now.
Yes.
You don't have to do it part-time. This is my message to you. It it is absolutely possible to have a great life and make a good living doing what you truly desire and doing what you're here to do, because I don't believe that it is the best and optimal outcome for you and for people who you're here to serve if you sucking your teeth in a day job and hating it, and then opening up being tired and doing your, let's say, tarot reading or healing. Why couldn't you do it full time? Why couldn't you charge accordingly? Because people sometimes come up with this approach that if I work and I've got my day job, and then what I do is my gift to the world. If you're happy with that, keep doing it. However, if you feeling like you're being really pulled apart because there is so much time commitment in your, let's say, day job that maybe you're not passionate about, but your passion and your heart lies elsewhere, my message to you is follow your heart. And it doesn't have to mean that you're going to ditch your job, or but perhaps you put more heart into your job. It's very difficult to have many things and juggling it. It's quite difficult to put your full attention and your heart into everything. So, by all means, if you want to get started small, part time, after hours, do it your own way. But if your passion in your heart is that I really want to be a healer, I want to serve people like that full time, then ask yourself a question. Are you going to serve more people by keeping your job and keeping your prices low? Or perhaps you're actually going to serve more people if you charge accordingly so that you can fulfill your commitments month to month, but do it full time. Of course there will be a doubt. Will I have the clients? Will I attract clients? Will money start flowing? Well, I'm
Yeah.
helping with all of that stuff. I deal with these things day in and day out. Those blocks and limitations are usually some conditioning programming from our childhood, from our ancestry, from the collective.
Yes.
You can deal with all of that, but first things first is look what's in your heart.
As
What's
I
your
like to,
passion?
yeah, if your heart, if you're doing something that makes your heart sing, first of all, it's never work, right? It's always a pleasure because your heart's singing. So you feel great doing whatever it is you're doing.
Sure.
I really feel that a lot of people hold back because, yes, conditioning, like you're saying, but the bennies that they get at their job, and then like maybe they can make enough money to pay their mortgage, but not their health insurance or not their this or that
Mhm.
or their daycare for their kids, whatever it might be. And so it's I think that's some of the big holdbacks why people stay in their day job
Mhm.
instead of doing what makes the heart sing. And there's a fear factor, like you said, limiting beliefs.
Yeah, I'm not probably the best person to speak about it because I've never had a day job for more than a few months. Right after when I was a student, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've never clung on to. I, I've my kind of goal has always been freedom, and I've crashed businesses.
Mm.
I've built and crashed. I've lost a lot of money. I've lost other people's money. So I've failed at business big time. And you know what? I've picked myself up and I'm still going strong. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to fail spectacularly like I did, but at the same time, life still goes on. But I've never lost the heart. And I wouldn't have never chosen a different path. I would have never chosen a path of security over a path of freedom and passion. Because even through all these really unstable, difficult, heartbreaking events, what an adventure that was. Every single thing.
And if you didn't have the downside, how do you bring that to your clients? Because you now have experience and growth based on those, as you said, phenomenal failures. And I've had it too. I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. My practice now is my fifth and last business because I'm not having another business after this. Um,
Never say never. If you're an entrepreneur at heart, maybe an opportunity will arise. You never know.
I understand what you're saying, but now the focus right now, I think, is going to be this and stay this. Now, I may bring in new nuances to my business, but I don't think I'm going to all of a sudden, stop and open up a breakfast restaurant.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going outside my path anymore. I am here and I am walking and I am focused. But like like there were some amazing successes, but then there's also the other side, duality. You have duality in business as you do in life.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of sometimes is what we make those failures mean about us. This is the key, and it's in life and it's in business. What do we make it mean about us? Because if we fail at, let's say, I don't know, we get our heart broken in a relationship, it's
Yes.
kind of acceptable. Or if we change a job, it's acceptable. But when we do a business, there's this pressure that we have to have it right from the get-go. It has got
Oh,
to be the right business, etc. And it doesn't have to be. Sometimes trial and error also works until you find something that is actually soul aligned. However, that being said, with the intuitive gifts, with our heightened senses as a collective, we can always tap into our heart frequency and we always know what is right and what is doesn't serve us. And heart frequency really cuts through everything. It cuts through all the problems. It cuts through all the kind of things that may seem a little bit like, should I not? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Heart frequency knows when, for example, a potential client or a potential business partner is not meant for us.
Yes.
Heart knows. Logic mind would say no, but this client that's going to bring you a lot of money, or this business partner, he's such a genius, he's intelligent, but the heart says stay. So if we just keep in this heart space, we can never go wrong. Heart always finds the straight path. Mind and logic runs in loops, and that's sometimes when it adds timelines onto our growth.
It's so true. So Ria, where do people find the Quantum Club? Is it
Okay, yeah, we'll probably link up to that. But if you go onto my website, riyaloveguard.com, there is a button there as well, and you can see also all the other stuff that is there. So riyaloveguard.com.
and what is the Architects of Destiny.com?
Okay, that's my brand together with my husband. We've got a podcast where we invite New Earth leaders to share their unique gift, be it education, be it financial kind of enlightenment, or whatever else. People who are driven to build what we call the new earth, a better world. A lot of them are starseeds, a lot of them are light workers. But we've had, enlightened accountants and educators and psychics and all sorts of people from all walks of life who are driven by this vision of a better world. So this is the architects of destiny, because we believe that we design our destiny on a personal level as well as on the collective level. So if this is something that speaks to you, check the architectsofdestiny.com.
I have to tell you, that is a great website name. Okay. I just think that that's a fabulous name. So I am going to go check that out because I didn't know about that one. But I've been on your website many times.
Yeah.
Checking things out. So I'm going to stop us here for a second. It's charity shout out time. So my listeners know that every week I highlight a charity not for profit that's passionate to my guest, and yours is the
Territorio de Zaguetas. It's a Spanish name because it is a charity that helps stray dogs in Costa Rica. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a dog sanctuary in the mountains in Costa Rica, and they literally give street dogs a second lease on life, where they've got a big finca, like a dairy farm, acres of land, and there's a beautiful documentary, I think, about them on Netflix, or one of the biggest platforms. If you love dogs, consider a donation. It doesn't really cost too much, $10 a month, and you can feed and deworm and kind of vaccinate a dog, which
and
is there, and
say,
they've got thousands of them. I personally adopted lots of stray animals since I moved to Costa Rica. I've got 7 cats and a stray dog. So I'm doing
wow,
my own bit,
yes, you are.
but this kind of, and I feed a lot of dogs locally. There's a big problem with stray dogs in Costa Rica. People are good people here, however, dogs just roam very often,
Yes,
and they've got a lot of freedom, so they come and go and roam, and sometimes the community takes care of them. However, oftentimes the community, like in cities, is different. Here in little villages where I live, everybody knows that's a neighbor's dog. Oh, he can come to my house and have some food or
right.
whatever. But there's a big problem with street dogs being mistreated on the streets in San Jose and other big cities. So if you can kindly, donate to Territorio de Zaguetas, I'll be very grateful.
So the website to check out is Territorio de Zaguatas,
Mhm.
TerritorioDezaguates.com.
Yeah, if you
And
put street dogs Costa Rica, you'll probably find the website too.
that's easier. Thank you. No, but well, and I agree. There's so many countries where the dogs are so mistreated. When I go to Bali,
Mhm.
I always buy dog treats so that I could give them to the dogs on the street So especially if they look really skinny and scraggly, and it's like, oh, my heart just breaks.
I do the same. Whenever I go
Mhm.
anywhere on holiday, one of my first stops is the local supermarket and buy bags of dog food. And then whenever I go to the beach or whatever, there's always some little friends that actually are always around. And one thing that happened since I channel light language as well is there's specific light languages such as Andromedan that are very, very well designed for healing animals. So very often now what happens is I can be like a few weeks ago, I was outside a notary public office, we were buying a car in the capital in San Jose, and the stray dog just comes to me and I can't take her with me. Maybe she's even someone's dog, but what I have done is she came for healing. I gave her whatever. She didn't even want food. I had some treats, but she wasn't interested. But she had this tumor, so she just comes for healing. Same thing happened a few weeks ago. I'm just outside the supermarket, and this kind of dog, which again, I don't know if it's a stray or if it's someone's dog in Costa Rica, I never know, just comes
Right.
for healing. So, I think we can all do our bits to help. And there's a lot less to do in opulent Western countries because there is no stray dogs anymore. But in less developed countries, the problem is still prevalent. Not many people castrate them or sterilize them, so they just breed, and sometimes they breed in the
Right.
streets. So yeah, just raising awareness here for all of you animal lovers. I'm sure you will resonate.
I think so. I absolutely think so. And I personally, I know we're digressing from you, but I just don't understand how people can be abusive to animals that are relying on them to take care of them. It breaks my heart each and every time. I mean, I live on water and I feed the ducks because there are two black ducks and they can't fly. And so I
Oh,
want to
bless.
make sure the black ducks are have their nutrition. And the mallards joined, and I don't discriminate.
Oh, I'm the same. I've got a whole zoo here in Costa Rica. I've got, this an anteater or like a armadillo coming, and this like possums and all sorts of things, lots of birds. It's just since I come here, I'm like Doctor Dolittle with all these kind of animals, and if we were to link it to what we're talking about, the star seeds, etc. If you
Yes.
listen to it and you feel like I'm like that, I also like feed stray animals. There's chances you may have had some connection with Andromedans because they're like that. So
That
I
must be
encourage
me
you.
because I so resonate with the animals and I have such compassion for them.
Yeah, well, you may have had some Andromedan roots. Andromedans are this beautiful race of beings that are very sustainable. They live in total harmony with the planet, the elementals. They can
Mm,
control the weather system, very advanced, but also very eco. And I haven't ever been an Andromedan. However, they came to me and give me their language and their energy. So because very often I saw like, I don't know, a bird with a missing leg or some kind of wild animal that's suffering. And I was like, I was putting this wish into the universe saying, I wish I could help, I could do something. And I don't know how to do something. I'm walking in the park and I see a bird struggling with one leg. Well, what can I do? And they've heard it and they came to me with the energy and they said, okay, we're going to give you the language. You can kind of use it to heal plants. You can use it to heal animals. You can just channel this frequency, give them relief from the pain, but also you can activate other Andromedan starseeds. And since then I have activated many Andromedan starseeds who are then furthering that kind of spirit of helping animals. So yeah.
I would love to be able to heal, just walk around and be able to heal animals randomly that come to me.
You probably
You know,
can. If you have this desire in your heart, call on the Andromedan energy. I'm going to channel a little bit of Andromedan language. I'm just feeling like, if that's okay, I feel like for all of you listeners who are animal plant lovers, maybe you will resonate. The language is very different. It doesn't sound like human language. It's a bit weird, it's a bit repetitive, but there will be energy. And okay, this is coming through now. So this energy will activate Andromedan starseeds. If anybody listening to it, if you feel like familiar, or maybe not the sound, but the sensation it gives you,
the
chances are you
resonance.
Andromedan. and this will be for you. So this is a gift to you from Andromedans. So they maybe activate some healing abilities with you, and every person who's really inclined to support this planet in a sustainable way to make it a better place so we don't destroy it, this this is gonna help you that frequency. So you okay if I
I'm
channel that?
absolutely perfect. Absolutely. Do I close my eyes? Do I stay
No,
open? Do I
just
just
do whatever you want. You can close your eyes if you want to. You can open up to receive this frequency. It will just wash over your field, and if anything awakens, it will be coming the days and months ahead, and perhaps you start feeling that connection even stronger. So here comes Andromeda. Done.
wow. I have to tell you, my feeling, what washed over me is my heart just got, I mean, there was like this glow or warmth in my heart, but I started to tear up and
You're probably
tears
Andromeda then.
started welling in my eyes. It was just like, oh my God, it was phenomenal.
If it makes you feel quite emotional, or like the energy is overwhelming, it's probably there's some connection there. So, and the fact that you're an animal lover, that tells me a story. But you'll have to go to the Akashic records and check.
I think I'm going to have to do that. I think I'm going to have to reach out to Aaron and
Yeah, I feel like there may be something there. Of course, without, but yeah, I feel that.
we will find out. And this will be continued because I'll come back and share with you what's happened. So really exciting. So what have I not asked you about that you want others to know about light language activation or about your business strategy, um, channeling, or the work you do to help activate the business part of your energy work?
Hang on a second. I feel like we've covered quite a lot, but um, I just want to wrap up, if possible, by sharing uh, with anybody who's maybe listening to it and feeling that something is resonating, something is stirring up within me. What do I do next? What can I do? How can I kind of progress that? Maybe this is kind of a message I want to give at the end. When you hear as a star seed, when you hear as an earth seed, when you're awakening to your own multidimensionality, I would love for you to know that it's very important, and an important message for me to you is that there's two layers to your inner work. So, yes, there's this pursuing higher dimensions, which is something we've been talking about here today, light languages, all these beautiful superpowers, bells and whistles, etc. But I also want to convey this message that it's very, very important that you put your energetic house in order when it comes to this third dimensional reality. And this means that when you awaken, it's not just about pursuing abilities and pursuing those higher powers, higher dimensions. It's also about resolving any trauma, karma from your ancestors. And as a starseed or as an awakened person, you have got the power within you to heal your whole family line, to heal your ancestry. And as you release those densities, as you release those traumas from past lives, from your own childhood, all these limitations, this deep energetic work is something incredible and that will pay dividends in this physical reality. So it's not just like when we opening up energetically that it's all nice and it's kind of like we feel great because we've got those superpowers and we feel like some heroes from a fantasy book, but you can actually translate it to very tangible three-dimensional results in your life when you start resolving energetic problems, when you find energetic causes to all your three-dimensional problems, they literally melt away and disappear. And this is the most profound work you can ever do. So, as a starseed, earthseed light worker, if there are areas of your life that feel like there's no flow of energy, just know that all your abilities can be channeled into resolving those energetic issues so that you can have the most abundant, amazing life in this dimension, in this physical human body. So, my message to like wrap it up is don't forget that you still deserve to have the best life in this dimension.
I so agree, and this is so necessary, not just for light workers and star seeds, and for healers and those metaphysical people. But I truly feel that if anybody can learn how to find those blocks, find those wounds, and resolve them, not only does it make this life better, which they're divinely meant to live. I totally agree, but future incarnations, which you will be having. Hopefully, you'll be able to resolve so you don't have to deal with them in future. You can
Yeah.
deal with new karmic issues that you can clean up, but all of this stuff can stay behind and stay buried.
Absolutely. And also when it comes to ancestral issues, because there's very often very many ancestral patterns in our
Oh,
field that have been created by some energetic events. If you do the
yes.
work, this is the best inheritance you can give to your children as well. The energetic inheritance, because they will not have the same issues repeating. So yeah, that's something to mention right at the right at the end.
And is that you or is that Aaron or both of you that help people with
Both of
that?
us, both of us. This is what we coach people to do. We teach about it. It's in fact, this is probably the biggest mission we've got. This is something that Arcturians have revealed to me last year. That because I was very comfortable serving star seeds, going into my own fifth dimensional bubble with all the awakened people activating their light languages, and the Arcturians said, you need to go to people who are awakening, not to the ones who are awakened. And you need to help them shed those densities and shed this trauma. So if you follow a little bit of my social media or whatever, you will see that a lot of the messages I'm trying to convey is how to make this three-dimensional life better, how to resolve trauma, karma, and all of that. I'm probably specializing more in the ancestral stuff. Aaron is more Akashic and past life, although he does ancestral healing too. But everything we do is actually centered around this, shedding those densities, because we have gone through our own deep healing, through our own dark night of the soul, and we've come out the other end. And of course, the work never ends. There's
Right.
always more layers. But goodness me, if you're gonna do one thing, is not to activate your light language. It's not to activate your starseed origins or whatever. It's just actually this work of releasing this unglamorous shadow work, some people call it, that will bring you the biggest breakthroughs and biggest shifts in this three-dimensional life.
I love that. Thank you. And Ria, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show and sharing this amazing information and insight into what you do at Love Language, removing, working on karmics, clearing and just making your life better. How fabulous for that. Thank you so much. Please, everyone, check out Riya. And Riya is RIYA Loveguard.com. Check her out, see how she can work with you. Check out the Quantum Club on her website. That if it resonates, check it out. Maybe you can just sort of like have an experience and see if this resonates further with you so you can move down the line and hopefully make this life in this current embodiment the way you're divinely meant to live, the way you want to have a life, and for the future incarnation. So, Riya, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you and all you've shared. And I'm overwhelmed by my joy in having you with us today. So, thank you. I
Thank you
want
so
to thank
much.
my pleasure. Bridget, thank you so much for all you do for me day in, day out, right hand, left hand. Don't know what I'd do without you. I say this every week. I don't say it enough. I could say it every day, still not enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life to participate in this podcast. And please, if you have any questions that you would like to have answered by Riya or myself, you can check out Riya's website again, RiyaLoveguard.com. There's a contact page on it, correct, Riya? Where they can
Not
write to you.
yet. I need to add it.
I guess it's
Probably
going to
there will
be
be.
added. So you can, or did you have an email that you want to put out there so
Probably
people can ask questions?
the best thing to do is to contact me on any of the social media platforms. All the mailboxes are. I don't tend to
It'll
give
be
my.
on, the links will be
Yes.
on. So
Yeah.
you could find all the websites on Facebook and Instagram,
Mhm.
etc. for Riya. So you can ask her the questions you might have about love language or business strategy, both, or how to find out where you're blocked, and she can help you with that as well.
Sure.
Prayers still to the people of Ukraine, the people who are fighting the war, the people, the volunteers that are fighting the war, the countries that are taking in the people from Ukraine, like Poland and the neighboring countries, Moldova and Romania, etc. Prayers to them as well, so that they receive all they need to help the people without depleting their resources for their own population. And I know this might be a hard ask, but let's all send love and healing to Vladimir Putin, because anybody who can do such heinous crimes is really devoid of love. So let's send love in that direction. And until next week, as always, I send you love, blessings, and gratitude. Know how grateful I am that you're in my life. Know that you are loved. You are never alone. And I think Riya will also agree with this. Ask for your guidance, ask for help. If you need something, reach out and ask for it, because a lot of them don't have free will. So if most of the people, those beings on the other side, do not have free will. So you need to ask for what you need, want, desire. Do you agree, Riya?
Definitely ask whatever you want. Vocalize your intention
Yes,
and watch the reality change.
exactly. So until next week, stay well.